Hi there, this is Irk, and this is my channel, Get Irked. In this episode, are you tired of missing the bottom when a stock or crypto sells off? Or worse, are you tired of buying in early? Stay tuned! You've probably heard experts tell you that you should always buy your investments over time, buying at levels as it sells off, whether you're talking about stocks, precious metals, or cryptocurrency. But exactly how do you determine those levels? If you look at videos on YouTube, you've probably seen an unbelievable number of people who give you really complicated indicators and different kinds of ways to determine magically how you should buy at the bottom or sell at the top. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can use free charting software to easily determine buying levels and selling levels so that you know exactly where you might see support or resistance when you're talking about stocks, crypto, precious metals, or any other kind of market traded security. Let's get into it with a real world example, and we're going to use Square, ticker symbol SQ. This stock is notoriously volatile and regularly sells off 30% when we're not in a market-wide sell-off. During market-wide sell-offs, you can actually see Square sell off up to 65%, which is what it did during the pandemic, dropping from its high of $101 and not finding a bottom until the mid-30s. So looking at its chart, you can see that recently we've had it drop real hard down to a bottom of $174.34. And this was starting at a high of $289.23. In other words, in just 3 months, 84 trading days, it's sold off nearly 40%. However, when you look at it over the past, you can see that there are key points where it stopped for a minute to gain support. So we're going to mark these in trading view using a horizontal line, and you can do this really easily by just putting your cursor over it and hitting Alt-H. And you can see that we can find levels. So let's do this a couple more times at key pivot points where it was at the low of a trading day. And you can see that the market almost has a memory when it comes to this stock. It pulls back to these key points and it does it over time. And this is just on the short term. Let's back up and see what we can see over the past. And you can see, particularly with these two lines at the upper bits, that Square regularly finds support at these levels. So this is actually an easy way to determine, okay, this might be where I'm able to make a buy. Moving further down, you can see that this line here also is key support over the past. And what we're looking for is these candles to come down, touch the line, and then bounce back up. Just because there's support there doesn't necessarily mean that the stock's not going to stop going down. As you can see on this day where it found support, bounced on the next day, and then dropped right through on the following day. And that brings up a key lesson when you're talking about the stock market or the crypto market or anything. Nothing is certain. There is no guaranteed method where you can find the bottom. In fact, one of the best stock investing adages I've heard is know that you're never going to buy at the bottom and that you're never going to sell at the top. What you're looking for is to capitalize on that middle piece, kind of a sandwich. You don't care about the bun, you care about the meat of the sandwich. So you can see that after Square dropped through here, we found support on this day, and if you go back in the past, look at how on this day it closed right there, on this day it opened right there, and so on as we look back in the past. During this whole sell-off, I bought Square around $225. I bought it again around $205, and then I bought it at $195 and $175. You can see that for each one of my buys, that Square ended up selling below where I bought it at, but I'm okay with that. My goal here isn't to get exactly right. I don't care if I'm right or wrong. I want to be close to being right. Additionally, thanks to the advent of no commission trading and the ability to be able to buy stocks in fractional shares, you can buy smaller quantities no matter what the size of your portfolio is. Another key approach to buying in stages is that I always use limit orders. I figure out where the stock might bottom, and then I decide whether I want to buy above that bottom or right at it, and I put that order in advance. That way I can go work my job, not think about it, and if we see a big sell-off in the market, I know my orders are going to go through at the levels that I want it at. If you've never heard of a limit order before, there are two really big main kinds of orders that you use when you're talking about stocks or crypto: a market order and a limit order. A market order means I just want to buy 5 shares, or I want to put $200 in, and whatever the price is, I don't care, just give me what I want in terms of quantity. With a limit order, you still determine your quantity, but you say, I want to buy at $175 a share or lower. If the stock doesn't get down to $175, your order doesn't fill, so you know you're going to at least get your price, or it will be better than the price you ask for. So So when you've got an asset like Square and it's already pulled back to a key low, how do you determine more levels? Well, that's easy. You just go further back in time. And you can see that we've got 2 days here. Yeah, there's this low here, but I like seeing consistent support. And so if I was being aggressive, which I typically am, I would use this support instead of this and buy at $152.50. To find more levels, we just go further back in time, and you can see we've got key support down here, we've got key support here, and so on. You don't have to buy at every single one of these levels naturally, but it gives you an idea of where you might see a stock pull back to. And for me, I always plan for worst possible case scenarios. I've only been doing this for about 20 years, but I have seen many black swan events where the unthinkable can happen. For example, if you look at where Square dropped to from its high to its low in the pandemic, Square dropped a total of 62.95% from its high before the pandemic sell-off started. If you went into this investment thinking that Square wouldn't ever sell off more than 20 or 30%, you would have been on the sidelines for an additional 30% sell-off. And that brings up another key lesson for me. If you want to buy $10,000 of a stock like Square, don't do what you see a lot of people do on YouTube and just buy their whole $10,000 at once. Typically what these investors will do is after the stock starts selling off, they'll start adding even more. So even though their cap was $10,000, they'll start buying $5,000 on the first dip and another $5,000 on the second dip, and now they've got twice as much as they originally wanted. If I want $10,000 of a stock, instead of buying it all at once, I'll buy 50% up front and then sell the other half to buy in 5 stages, 10% at each stage on the way down. If the stock never sells off enough for me to get all of my buys, that's fine. I'm hands off. That's a high quality problem. It means the stock bounced and started higher from where I was buying. Instead of scrambling to try and put that money to work in the position, I'll take that extra money, find a new position, and then just start over again there. I'd rather have more positions that are all winners but with smaller quantities rather than be in a position in a big way, underwater, no money to put in, and feel awful about being down and having the opportunity to buy more but not having any cash to do so. And this strategy works for everything. It works for cryptocurrencies, precious metals. It doesn't have to be individual stocks. Here we've got VTI. This is Vanguard's exchange traded fund that's the total world market. You can see on this day that it pulled back to this key support at $229. So if we pull back in time, you can see, just like with Square, there's consistent support in the past where the stock has pulled back to this point and then stopped. After this point, we will do what we did with Square. You'll find other key spots where there was support in the past, and when you zoom out, you can see that there's consistency with these spots too in the past, and this is how you determine price levels. You can use these levels to add to an existing position or to start a new position. In this case, I'm using TradingView. You can use the link in my notes below to be able to get a referral bonus where both you and I will get a certain amount of cash back if you signed up for a paid subscription. However, TradingView offers a really robust free package too, so I recommend that you start with that because there's no need to pay. Take a look, see if you like the software, and you might not need more than the free service provides. By planning your investment in advance, you don't have to ask yourself, wow, is this a good time to buy? You can take a look at the support and say, sure, it might sell off below this, but this is definitely an area of support. What are some of your strategies for buying in stages? Please leave your comments below. Thank you for watching. Please hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.